on a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this, and nothing more." Distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. Thus begins the poem The Raven by the immortal poet and author Edgar Allan Poe. And thus begins our Halloween countdown, our Edgar Allan Poe-down, if you will. Well, we're going to count down 31 films based on the works of Edgar Allan Poe. Now, this suggestion came to us from a viewer. I asked for suggestions from you viewers, and I threw them all into a little small coffin and picked one at random, and our winning suggestion came from Conrad Rops. So once again, thank you, Conrad, for that suggestion, because this was a great idea. There are so many works of books, movies, TV shows, poetry, films, theater, you name it, based on the works of Edgar Allan Poe. But just who was this guy who inspired so many people to do adaptations of his work through the decades? Edgar Allan Poe was born in Boston, Massachusetts on January 19, 1809. His parents were traveling actors, and Edgar was the second son born to the pair. His father, an alcoholic, deserted the family after Edgar was born, and his mother died after giving birth to a younger sister a few years later. The children were separated and sent to live with different families. Edgar was sent to the home of John and Frances Allan in Richmond, Virginia. Edgar took the family's surname as his middle name, thus the unusual spelling of Allan that so many folks get wrong. He attended college for less than a year but was forced to leave school after accruing large gambling debts. He then joined the U.S. Army, during which time he published his first collection of poetry. He later enrolled in West Point but was thrown out of the academy for deliberately neglecting his duty. He then moved to Baltimore and lived with his aunt, during which time he began to write short stories. He married his 13-year-old cousin, Virginia Clem, but struggled in poverty, taking what writing work he could get writing book reviews, essays, and literary criticisms for magazines. He continued to write, but was overly fond of alcohol to his own professional and personal detriment. He moved to New York and became a household name with the publication of The Raven, but still struggled to make ends meet. His wife died of tuberculosis at age 24, which devastated Poe. He died 2 years later under mysterious circumstances. Today, Poe is considered one of the great American authors and poets and continues to influence writers, filmmakers, artists, and more. There have been countless stage and screen adaptations of his work, and his stories and poems are still taught in schools to this day. Though he may not have received the critical acclaim and financial rewards in his lifetime, his work lives on, and we're proud to salute him here with this countdown. Long live Poe. So as you can see, Poe was definitely one of the most influential authors of all time, continuing to inspire people to this very day, like me. So we'll get this Edgar Allan Poe-down started now. We're going to count down, like I said, a movie a day. 31 films throughout all of October. So your October activities are locked in, Fright fans. Be sure and join me right here on this YouTube channel every day, and I'll be posting a new video, so probably in the mornings. But yeah, I'll set them to go. What do you think? You guys want mornings or nighttime? Leave me a comment down below, whichever one gets the most comments. You want them first thing in the morning, or do you want them creepy nighttime, like say 8 o'clock at night? Let me know what you prefer. But we'll go ahead and get to it now. I put all the entries inside this little coffin box, and check this out, this Edgar Allan Poe custom designed coffin box. Now, a friend of mine named Jerry Duncan did this. She has a YouTube channel, a Instagram channel where she takes custom orders to make boxes. So she made me this little Edgar Allan Poe box. Check that out. It's got the Raven on one side and Edgar Allan Poe on the other, and great little likeness of Poe there. So I put inside this It's also got pens and quills and things she pasted aside. Very cool. All the entries, all 31 there, as you can see. So, anyway, you guys go by Instagram. You can get your own custom box for anything you want, not just Poe, whatever you want. But anyway, we're going to shake this up and pick the first entry in today's contest. Oh, I think she's getting an Etsy soon too, so you can check for her there. Metamorphosis Customs. I'll put it on the screen there. All right, here we go. For day one, we are going to look at, one at random here. All right, this is it. Day one. One of my favorites, a Vincent Price entry. You're going to see my man Vinny quite a bit on here, as you might expect. We're going to kick this off with An Evening of Edgar Allan Poe. An Evening of Edgar Allan Poe is a 1970 TV special featuring Vincent Price performing 4 Edgar Allan Poe stories: The Sphinx, The Cask of Amontillado, The Telltale Heart, and The Pit and the Pendulum. This is the sort of special you'll never see the likes of again on network television, I'm afraid. A solo performance by one actor, Price in this case, performing 4 separate Poe stories, each on a lavish, custom-built set designed specifically for that story. Price was equally comfortable on stage and screen. In fact, he started in theater before becoming a film actor and returned to the stage throughout his career, and it shows here. Price was born to perform Poe and was pretty much synonymous with the actor throughout the 60s thanks to the series of Roger Corman films in which he starred. This was an AIP production directed by Kenneth Johnson, which aired January 1st, 1970. Price's costumes were designed by his wife Mary. The music was by the great Les Baxter. This made-for-TV special feels as much like a play as a TV show with us in the audience. And it's a wonderful, intimate performance that is a real Halloween treat for Price fans. This little made-for-TV special, An Evening of Edgar Allan Poe, was a perfect way to kick off this Edgar Allan Poe-down. I'm going to give this a perfect 5 Ravens out of 5. There's nothing about this that I don't absolutely love. It's Vincent Price at his peak, just nailing it with his dramatic presentations of these stories. And hey, check it out. I think you can find it right here on YouTube, so you guys can check that out. It's a great way to get the Halloween season kicked off. And speaking of which, be sure and join me back here tomorrow night. We'll keep this Edgar Allan Poe-down going. Until then, this is Dr. Gangrene saying, stay mad.
One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold.